Yes, here we are again, another edition of the Church Solutions podcast. And of course, my name is Phil Thompson.
And I'm Steve Lacy.
And I'm Mike Gray.
All right, Michael's with us here. Michael comes and goes, and he's back. How are you, Michael?
Great. Couldn't be better.
Love your mustache, too, by the way.
Yeah, well, there's a story there. I won't give you a close up of a barber butchered the trim job on it. So,
Well,
made me look like a little extra special.
That's the style down there, right? So,
right. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Just be specific when you ask for a trim in Mexico, what you want that trim to look like.
Okay. All right. And Steve, I assume you're doing okay because you're very consistent in everything.
Sure. I'm doing all right. We busted Grandma out of her prison yesterday with success. So
now you need to clarify that because
that was
you're 96-year-old.
She's been doing time
She's
in the big house. No, she's been doing time in her retirement community. But when COVID came, they locked her up, and for a long time we couldn't visit, and for over a year we could not take her out except to she had a dental appointment once, and that's pretty much it. So got to bring her back over to the house and got all the kids, and so it was very good.
Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. All right, so today we're going to talk about our favorite live encoders. We've done enough bantering here. So we get hit up with a lot of stuff. We are a company that does streaming video, streamingchurch.tv. We have other things too. Remind me to mention the My Church Daily at the end here. But we get hit with a lot of people that, how do I stream? What encoder should I get? Or we also get people that get live encoders and then ask us how to provide customer support for them. And we try our best, some of the stuff we know really well. So there's so many, especially now, hardware encoders, a lot more of them than there were 12, 13 years ago. And there's even some more live encoders that are software based. So first of all, before we jump into this, I just want to say right off the bat that we're going to talk about two types of live encoders. We're going to talk about software based live encoders. We're going to talk about hardware based. And so in order to use live encoding software, you need to install it, usually on a desktop. Some people put it on a laptop. And that's really what you need. You've got to have a computer that has a good processor. You've got to have good internet connection. And then you have a video capture device or video capture devices that you use in conjunction with that computer to plug your cameras in and different things like that. Of course, you could use a switcher as well. Software is, so that's very quickly software. Hardware is really hardware live encoders. Those are dedicated physical devices, boxes. So instead of downloading a live encoder on your computer, you would purchase this box that has functions in really the same way, in many ways, as a software encoder, right?
One side of it's got camera connections, and the other side's an internet connection.
Yeah, and so and years ago we all had experience with TriCaster, and TriCaster has lots of different models out now, and we'll get into that probably in a little bit if we can, but most of these don't run off a Windows platform like TriCaster did. Does TriCaster still run off a Windows platform?
I think so.
Yeah, and that's really a bummer, but we'll get into this. So they're usually hardware encoders are much more expensive. But let's get into software. Let's talk first of all what we run into a lot, and that is software. And let's talk a little bit about two or three of the ones that we like, because we're talking about our favorites here, right? Yeah. So what's our favorite here? I put down on my notes vMix as being my favorite software live encoder. What say ye?
I know that's your favorite. So, let's go through vMix. Why is it your favorite?
I like vMix because, so first of all, I'm very partial to, it started in a local church down in Australia. In fact, we interviewed somebody on this podcast years ago. And so I like the fact that they they made it, I think, for their own church, if I remember right, and then they decided to, produce it for everybody, for other churches especially. So I like the fact that they come out of a local church. I like the fact that it's very budget friendly. They give you not a 10-day free trial, not a 30-day free trial. They give you a 60-day free trial. And then they have different packages as well. So, and even if you don't want to activate your account, so to speak, with vMix, you can still use the free trial version. It has some limitations, but you can use that. So,
and the other nice thing, the paid version that a church would need is only $60, a one-time thing.
Yeah, I think it's still that way. It's been that way for years.
It's very reasonable price. Yeah.
So the downside of vMix, of course, is Steve, you'll point out, is it doesn't work on Apple products, does it?
Yeah.
Boo.
Boo.
So it doesn't work on Apple. Although, Steve, you could tell us, probably don't do it today, but you could actually run it on an Apple computer, right? If you do kind of like a little back end trick or something.
Yes, you can run vMix on a Mac. The normal way is to install Windows on the Mac. I heard actually kind of interesting review a couple of years ago. They were talking about the very best Windows laptop, and they said it was a Macintosh. So anyway, running Windows, he's like, yeah, if you can get this Mac and run Windows, that's probably going to be the best running. Anyway, you can run emulation software that's available on the Mac, either Boot Camp or Parallels, or there's a few others out there that allows you to run Windows on the Mac. So kind of a backdoor approach, but it can be done.
Okay, so vMix has a lot of, we're not going to go into a lot of details on this stuff. You guys can look it up yourselves. Go to vmix.com if you want more information. But I think it's a pretty good little software encoder. And as long as you have, and all these things we're going to talk about, you got to have processing power, you got to have upload speed, all that stuff. So, all right, so vMix, that's why I like vMix.
Yes, so there's a couple of leaders in this space, and I would call these guys kind of the premier on the software end, and vMix is one of them. Wirecast is the other. Wirecast has been around for a very long time. Wirecast is going to run on the Mac and the PC, and they've been doing video switching and encoding, I think, longer than anyone else here that's on our software list. And they're kind of recognized as the professional grade, and they are proud of it, and their pricing is in accordance. So,
well, they have two packages, right? So,
and these are current. You just look these up because they've changed quite a bit recently.
I think they're current.
Okay. Yeah, because they have bounced it around. I think what's happened is vMix has kind of upset their world a little bit.
Yeah.
So they brought in some more price sense. But anyway, there's two packages we have listed. $599 is the one that is geared for the churches. They have a studio version, their most expensive version, that would be geared for if you wanted to broadcast sporting events and things like that. It has automatic scoreboards and virtual sets. You can do your own news broadcast and make it look really professional. So there's a bunch of tools in there.
Right.
I think they call it studio version. Is that right?
I don't remember.
Their premium version.
Yeah.
But most churches are using the less expensive because it's just, you don't need a scoreboard or a virtual studio, that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, you can just Telestream are the people that make Wirecast, but you can just Google Wirecast and you can look and see and find out more about it. But again, it's certainly nothing, a good software program. But then we have coming in third, and I don't know, maybe on your list, Steve, this might not be number 3.
Well, I don't know. These are OBS is Open Broadcast
Source
Project. I can't remember what
it's obsproject.com is the website.
Yeah, that's where you get it. And they have been around almost as long as we've been around, probably. Yeah. And we've kind of watched them mature. They started out, I would consider pretty immature in that they had a couple of different versions depending on what you wanted to do and one would do one thing and the other would. Remember that, Phil?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you installed the wrong version, you were getting into anyway. They've matured to it's one of the nice things about OBS is it is open source and free and runs on anything,
Yes.
even
Mhm,
your Linux
mhm.
Ubuntu computer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very good. Yeah.
It's also the most used platform
Right.
because of how it's dominated by gamers.
Right.
Yeah.
So there are more people using OBS. Well, it's free too, but there are more people using it than anything else. And I don't know the numbers on it, but it's substantial.
Well, yeah, and we should always say, if somebody's running across this podcast, you don't know who we are. If you see us on YouTube or something, we deal with churches and ministries. So if you're a gamer right now, you might be thinking, what are these old collegers talking about? Well, yeah, we're really targeting churches and leaders and ministry people. So, but again, like you said, Mike, OBS is very popular with gamers, but also with churches, and it really is.
And let me throw this 2 cents in here as well. On Wirecast and vMix, we are a preset. So you can choose destination Facebook or destination streamingchurch.tv, and we just give you a login and password, and all the setups handled for you in the background. OBS is not that way.
Yeah, OBS doesn't like us. You might try again. You might try. Didn't you try to get us as a preset on OBS?
Yeah,
and
they were not letting
to you or something.
Yeah, we tried a couple times, but they weren't super happy about a church platform streaming their tool.
Yeah. All right. So moving right along here, we'll get to one more. I've got one more on my list for software, and then we're going to get to hardware, and that opens up a whole other can of worms. But I put Manny Cam down here. Manny, is it Manny? Is it, what is it? I'm going to go to Mike Gray on this one because he likes Manny Cam.
Yeah. When I first saw it, I thought nanny cam, and it was, one of those that you put in a bear to make sure nobody's beating your children. But it is Manny, M-A-N-Y, Cam, Manny Cam. They're a Canadian company, and I accidentally stumbled on them and started using it. I found it to be simple and easy. I think the only thing I would knock on it is it might use a little bit more system resources than some of the others. Yeah. However, it does have a lot of bells and whistles and capabilities built into the basic package. And like vMix, for about 70-ish bucks, you can get their high end that gives you a lot of bells and whistles, picture in picture, screen overlays. You can do a lot with it. It is a full production studio if you buy the high end package for them.
So, and it is Windows and Mac as well.
That is correct.
And
it's all
one of the
platforms.
Key differentiators here for all of these software products is how many destinations can I send to? And the one outlier in this group is OBS is limited to one destination at a time.
Isn't there a way to trick that though? Didn't somebody have some kind of a hack for that?
There is, but you don't want to do it. So I mean,
and we don't want to explain it. So
it's not simple. And it's not guaranteed to work, but yeah, somebody probably made it work. But yeah, we don't want to advertise that.
All right. So obviously there's even more software. I mean, XSplit is another one. In fact, I had a conversation with, I think the guy that created XSplit, tried to get him to do this podcast and he wouldn't do it.
No, that wasn't XSplit. That was someone else.
Is that somebody else?
Yes, I'm trying to remember the name of it.
I don't know. One of those. There's lots of different ones out there.
Yeah.
There's definitely more.
Yeah, there are more. And that particular piece had kind of fallen from favor, probably because they didn't do our podcast.
That's probably why.
Yeah, probably.
Don't do our podcast. You're gonna. And I should say this. I was going to say this at the end, but I'll say it at the beginning here, in the middle of what we're doing here, and that is, if your church is looking at getting a live encoder or a new one or a different one, why not reach out to us, especially if you have us as our, if using us to stream with streamingchurch.tv, reach out to us first before you go out and spend a lot of money on something,
Please,
and it becomes
please,
a problem.
please do. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten somebody to call or reach out to me for tech support, and they've bought the wrong device for what they're trying to do.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, I wish you had just called me beforehand. I could have helped you get the right device for
Right.
what you're trying to do.
Right.
Versus, you know, consultants are always going to sell what they get a piece of or what they love. And it isn't necessarily. So, for instance, I won't mention any names yet. There are some hardware devices that are harder to set up. So if you are building a team of volunteers in the shallow end of the understanding pool of streaming, you don't want to provide them a hardware device that's the hardest one to set up, right? You want it easy, simple, you know, plug and play, as simple as possible. Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
My soapbox time.
We end up doing customer support. All right, so real quickly, let's talk about hardware encoders. And here are some of my favorites. We'll see if the team agrees here. I put down the Epiphan Pearl Nano. Now, Epiphan has several different products. In fact, they just released a new one, which I didn't put on here because I don't know anything about it. But the Nano, I think we've got 1 or 2 people that have a Nano. I put Epiphan on here because I like the customer support.
Yeah.
And actually, Nano is their most recent.
Is that the new one?
Yeah.
There you go. Apparently, I don't know anything about the Nano either, I guess.
There's the.
I thought there was a new one.
There's Pearl 2 and the Pearl Mini, right? And then there's the Pearl Nano is the new one.
So the Nano's the latest one.
Or am I getting all confused?
I don't know. There's so many.
They're all pearls. Yes, Epiphan Pearl line, and that's So there's
the Nano is their latest that's being shipped as we speak.
All right. So their customer support is based out of Toronto, Canada. Although I think they have an office in California, but I like the customer support. You can chat with them, you can talk to them. And the Nano does have, it's the low end of all their Pearl products. That much I know. And when I say the low end, it's about $1,500. But, you know, again, it sounds like a good device. Stuff I've read up on it. They've got, you know, you can always do some firmware updates. So Epiphan Pearl Nano is one of them that you might consider. But you need to look into it and investigate it.
And full disclosure, we have a relationship with them in that, we were integrated into one of their previous devices, and we've shared podcasts, and we know their support people really well. So we're really good.
We like it,
but we like them. And like you say, the ability to reach out to somebody if you have an issue is worth gold.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or if you have a question.
Yeah. All right. So moving along here, the next one we put down here is Teradek. And I put the Vidiu Go, although Michael mentioned before the podcast here that, you know, they have an X, which it's actually reasonably priced. I think it's under $1,000.
It is.
Yeah.
It is their newest device, and it kind of is in the competition lane with the device we were just talking about. But I have not yet. Same kind of deal. I haven't tested one yet, so I can't say, oh, it's the webcaster, you know, on steroids or whatever that may be. I hope to find out soon. And see how that device functions, how easy it is to set up.
Well, Teradek has been around for a while, and we've had, I think did we have a podcast with the guy from Teradek? Or I know we certainly met with one of the guys from Teradek. And, you know, from all reports and experiences I've talked with people, you know, it's pretty seamless when it connects to switchers, Rolands, and you can even use other things like vMix. You know, vMix has a studio, really is like a studio version like Wirecast. But so there's lots of positive things around Teradek. The downside, as Steve was mentioning before the podcast, is they have so many different models that it's like, what am I getting here? Why am I spending 5,000 on this and only 1,000 on it? That's the only downside of the Terra deck. There's lots of different stuff out there. You need a lot of help if you're going to make a choice.
Yeah, they've been around for a long time, and they have a very long history of different products and different offerings. So definitely a powerhouse in the streaming space.
Yeah.
And most of their products are made in the USA.
Right.
It's a different company that we did meet with them and review this new device before it came out. I did see the pricing on that. They're pricing that at $699.
Okay, for the X. That's the X, right?
The Video X.
Okay.
Which there's no confusion on that. That's literally made. It's a device made to compete in the lane of what we used to love as the Wirecast device. Wirecast. I said webcaster.
Webcaster.
The webcaster, but it's a little more advanced, a little more robust, and I think it's going to have a little bit longer life expectancy out of those devices.
Okay. So there is one other product that is made by Magwell UltraStream SDI. Now they have an HDMI as well, but there's a Magwell UltraStream SDI, and that one might be priced very similar to what the Webcaster X2 was priced at. It's about the same, around $350, $360. Magwell, we've always recommended Magwell video capture devices. This is a streamer though.
Yeah, as you said, I mean, when the Magwell or Magewell for video capture, we always had great results. I mean, there was people were using different video capture devices, and if they were on a Magewell, it just seemed to work. So that's one of the reasons we steered to recommend this device as well. Yeah. Although we haven't had our hands on this one, and I don't know if we have a lot of customers using it, but in the past, they've developed a good reputation with us as being just very plug and play.
They make two models here. One is an SDI one that I put in my notes here, but they also have one that's not a HDMI. That's actually a little bit less money, I think, for the HDMI version. So what I mean by is that's the cable that you plug it in. You know, SDI, you can go longer length. HDMI is what, 25 to 50 feet, I think, with the cable. So they have a couple options here, and you know, you can record with it, and there's lots of nice little features on it. And again, I would just, you know, you can always go to B&H Photo Supply. Mm-hmm. They have a really good, they're based out of New York, I think, and they have lots of good write-ups on all these products and more. And you can get the specs, and you can get reviews, and they're really a good place to go, B&H Photo, and just go online for it there. But they talk about the Magwell UltraStream SDI, something you might want to consider. So let's bring up one more thing while we have a couple minutes here. Let's bring up a very popular one that is becoming more and more popular, and it's not our favorite, but it is priced really well. And I won't mention it by name, but its initials are Blackmagic A10. Oh wait, I just did, didn't I? I'm sorry.
Wait, yeah.
Yeah.
ATEM.
That's not what I meant. I meant,
lots of churches are getting it. Blackmagic is very popular. Lots of they do really well in marketing, so they have a lot of products out there. And they had a ATEM switcher years ago that came out, which actually got a lot of good reviews and people liked. This is actually allows you to stream, and it's a little hard to set up if you're not used to using, what is it, XML files, Steve? Is that
right? Yeah, you gotta put your tinfoil hat on a little bit to get it set up and working. So this is kind of what Mike mentioned. If you got people that are dealing with that all the time, then no problem, I can do that. But if you mentioned the volunteer that just showed up and says, okay, we're going to edit, XML files. It's kind of like the commercial you see on TV. He says, okay, we're going to open a PDF. You guys seen that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I don't know. But
yeah.
So some perspective on that. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Michael.
So our perspective is this. It's Sunday. I'm getting a call from a frantic volunteer. They desperately want me to help them. Explaining how to do this with them at that point is difficult. If I'm on the other devices, on the other hardwares or software devices we talked about, pretty easy to walk somebody through how to do the streaming setup. They are set up a little bit easier for social media streaming, but for some reason, and I don't understand why, they don't make it easy to stream to your website, which is what everybody should prefer, because that's the only place you can control. You can't control Facebook or YouTube, and they may, shut you down and block your content. Your website is the piece of landscape that you own and you control. So streaming point to point with RTMP streaming seems to be the preferred way, and yet on that device it's the hardest one to set up. So, and again, I'm not bashing, it's just from a support standpoint, I want to help somebody and help them quickly so they can get their service up and running or fixed or repaired or whatever it is that they're doing.
Yeah. And, again, we're asked to do customer support for a lot of these devices, and we'll try our best. But the bottom line is Blackmagic's customer support, I think it lacks from what I've been told.
Yeah. They've been around for a very long time, right? I mean, even when we were just getting started with this, we had a tech we were working with. As soon as he heard the words Blackmagic, he would just start groaning and try to work through it, because they're typically very capable devices, but also very finicky. It's kind of like the high-end mad scientist is going to love it, but the everyday user is going to, where's the on button kind of a thing,
Yeah. And we do have some customers that stream with us that do like it,
Absolutely.
But I've got one right now. It's been working on it for weeks. And, we keep extending his free trial, and we're happy to do that because he hasn't been able to stream yet with it. But I think it kind of goes back down. And by the way, we have a customer, I think, up in Canada that used it, and he put down some real detailed instructions, and so we grabbed those from him. He gave them to us, and we have them. So we've been giving them out to people that have it, because they get stuck and go, well, here's some details, here's step by step.
Yeah, we have instructions on our admin panel for setting up a Blackmagic ATEM.
So, help video and instructions, and
a whole bit, as well as all these other devices. We have help videos for every one of them. So we're there to help people out.
Yeah. All right. So we're out of time. So again, just want to reiterate, hey, if you have any questions about getting a live encoder, talk to us first. Especially if you use us, talk to us first, and we'll try our best to help you out with that. And whatever we can do to serve you, that's what we're here for. So we're always open to feedback. So give us some feedback on what we have here on the list. It's obviously not, it's not detailed. We just kind of threw this out here. Going into details is just, we'd be here for hours and hours, and plus nobody cares. Nobody wants to hear that. You can just look it up. Or if you have questions, we'll point you in the right direction. So
we also got recent news here, we had an article written in a couple of publications this past week.
We did.
On our new My Church Daily product. So the church productions and church design, both I think are running. They share some writers, but I think they're running the same article.
My Church Daily, is that what you're referring to?
Yes, My Church Daily.
Yeah,
we got some PR for that, so just wanted to plug that.
Go check it out. If you haven't heard about it, go to mychurchdaily.com. And this is a way you could get on Alexa. You could get daily flash briefing, and it's a 14-day free trial. mychurchdaily.com. Check it out. All right, we're way over time here. So thank you, Michael.
Always a pleasure.
And thank you, Steve.
Glad to be here.
Or as your mother used to call you, Jackson.
That's right.
Yeah. So did she call you Jackson?
No, because that was my dad's name. That would just add to the confusion. Just
All right.
some of my high school and college buddies called me Jackson.
Oh, well, maybe we should start calling you Jackson. I like that. All right. Okay. Well, I'm Phil Thompson, and thank you for spending some time with us here on the Church Solutions Podcast. We sure appreciate your time, and we'll catch you next time. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.